Srimad Bhagavatam Swami Prabhupada ki jai, ISKCON Founderacharya Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Koti Vaishnavinda ki jai, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai, Prem Si Kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasari Gaur Bhaktavinda ki jai, Sri Sri Radha Madhava Gopinath Shyamakund Radhakan Giri Govardhan ki jai, Sri Vindham Simthurudham ki jai, Navadvip Mayapur Dham ki jai, Sri Jagannath Puri Dham ki jai, Ganga Mahi Jamuna Mahi ki jai, Tulsi Devi Bhakti Devi ki jai, Sangha Veda Bhaktavinda ki jai, Harinam Sankirtan ki jai, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Jai Nitai Gaur Premanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees, glorious to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Sri Sri Guru Gauranga, glories to Srila Prabhupada. This morning we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 6, entitled Conversation between Narada and Vyasadeva, texts 1 and 2. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. This is text 2 on the board. Sweet text 1. Suta Uvacha Evam Nisyam Bhagavan Devashya Janma Karmacha Bhuya Paprachatam Brahman Vyasa Satyavati Sutta. Text 2. Vyasu Vacha Bhikshubhir Viprabhasite Bhikshubhir Viprabhasite Vijnana Deshribhirstava Vijnanadeshtribhistavan Vartamano Vaisyatadye Vartamano Vyasyade Tata Kim Akarad Bhavan Tata Kim Akarad Bhavan Vyasuvacham Bhikshubhir Viprabhasite Vijnanadeshtribhistava Vartamano Vayasyade Tata Kim Akarad Bhavan Vyasuvacham Bhikshubhir Viprabhasite Vijnanadeshtribhistava Vartamano Vayasyate Tata Kim Akarad Bhavan. That is it. Vyas Uvacha. Shri Vyasadeva said, Bhikshubhi, by the great mendicants, Vritpravashite, having departed for other places, Vijnana, scientific knowledge in transcendence, Ades Ribhi, those who had instructed Tava, of your Vatmana, present, Vayasi, of the duration of life, Adye, before the beginning of, Tataha, after that, Kim, what? Akarat, did, Bhavan, your good self. Translation, Srila Vyasadeva said, what did you, Narada, do after the departure of the great sages who had instructed you in scientific transcendental knowledge before the beginning of your present birth? Purport by Svange Sesi Bhakti. Oh, okay, please repeat. Sri Vyasadeva said, what did you do, Narada, after the departure of the great sages who had instructed you in scientific transcendental knowledge before the beginning of your present birth. Purport by His Divine Grace C.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Vyasadeva himself was a disciple of Naradaji, and therefore it was natural to be anxious to hear what Narada did after initiation from the spiritual masters. He wanted to follow in Narada's footsteps in order to attain the same perfect stage of life. This desire to inquire from the spiritual master is an essential factor to the progressive path. This process is technically known as Sadhama Pracha. End of purport. Om Ajnanandasya Jnananandsalakaya Chakshurmichamna Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasaya Bhutare Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Nitya Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Prasarine Nirvisesha Shandavari Aschachyate Satarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasri Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Okay. Conversations between Narada and Vyasadeva. Text 1 translation. Sutta said, O Brahmanas, thus hearing about Sri Narada's birth and activities, Vyasadeva, the incarnation of God and son of Satyavati, inquired as follows. Purport. Vyasadeva was further inquisitive to know about the perfection of Naradaji, and therefore he wanted to know about him more and more. In this chapter, Naradaji will describe how he was able to have a brief audience with the Lord while he was absorbed in the transcendental thought of separation from the Lord, and when it was very painful for him. Text 2. Vyasa said, what did you, Narada, do after the departure of the great sages who had instructed you in scientific transcendental knowledge before the beginning of your previous birth? So here, Srila Prabhupada is mentioned about the different the mentality of the devotees here. After Vyasadeva was instructed by Narada Muni, Vyasadeva was feeling incomplete, dissatisfied, even though he was such a great soul. He was a Shaktavesh of the Lord. He was a perfect person, but still he felt some dissatisfaction in his heart, and he wondered what it could be, because he knew everything, practically speaking. He wrote the Vedas, right there, in one sense. So there was nothing beyond his knowledge. So he was surprised that he still wasn't feeling, he was the teacher, right? He was teaching everyone else. So he was surprised there was still feeling some vacancy, some lacking there, something was kind of missing. And feeling like that, then Narada, his spiritual master, appeared. This is a way of transcendental knowledge when one is serious about spiritual life. Then that sincerity is a means to evoke the mercy of the Lord. If one is really sincere about spiritual life, then the Lord will reveal something. He will bring the spiritual master before your path, or some other way to instruct. So, feeling like this, and this Narada appears, seemingly coincidental, but nothing is really coincidental in the material world. There's no chance, there's no luck. But in the spiritual life, there's luck. We're evidence of the luck. We had no many of us, some of us, at least me, had no qualifications previously, right? We wasn't particularly religious or pious. So that was good fortune somehow or other, by the grace of the devotees. And that is the mercy of the Lord, that He bestows His mercy upon the devotees, and they in turn bestow His mercy on the non-devotees. So generally it starts from the pure devotees, the eternal associates of the Lord, who He sends here or comes with. So this is obviously it's a lila. Bhagavatam means lila, is not ordinary person. Basically, it is a partial incarnation of the Lord. Nothing should be unknown to Him, but He's acting like that. What is it? I've, as far as I know, I've written everything which He had as regards knowledge, both material and spiritual knowledge is there. Workings of the world, workings of how things work is all there. But He hadn't much touched on the essence of existence, the essence of being, which is serving the Lord with affection. This is the very essence, as the root of existence. That is the purpose of creation. The Lord creates, He's one, He becomes many for His pleasure. So that is the purpose is that pleasure. That pleasure comes through relationship, to exchange. Love means two. I love you, you love me, that's two. So that's how so then the Lord expands into many, millions, billions. Why not? He's God. Do things big. So, and all those separated parts of Him, He endows with independence and abilities, different abilities. So we have our freedom here. We have ability, limited ability. It appears we have ability, right? We definitely have free choice, and it appears we have ability. We can decide to do something and set the program in motion, and we do it. And then we may be successful or unsuccessful, but it appears that we are the doers, although in fact we're not, but it works like that. So we have the abilities. Narada agrees with Vyasadeva. Yeah, you're very learned. You're a very smart person. You practically know this super soul. In fact, you're an incarnation yourself. So it's not a dearth of knowledge that you have that's keeping you not completely satisfied. It's just your underemphasis on the actual purpose of knowledge, the purpose of the Veda. Veda means knowledge. So what is the actual purpose? In of course, Vedas, they don't have it, not necessarily in the spiritual world, I guess. Probably have something else. I mean, better. in the heavenly planets, it says the Bhagavatam is 1 million shlokas. So they may have another one, original in the spiritual world, which is maybe unlimited. But in any case, the Vedas here for the conditioned souls, and for the liberated souls also to enjoy. But specifically that knowledge is for the conditioned souls. What use is knowledge if one is liberated? When one is perfect, then the purpose of knowledge has been served. So Vyasadeva wrote all the knowledge. Right? Vedas are very vast. Right? There's all kinds of knowledge there, right? Different sciences, medical science, arts, politics, everything is there. Military. But that alone won't actually satisfy that won't satisfy us completely. That won't fill the hunger, the thirst to feel complete, to feel satisfied and happy without any anxiety. That's what we all want, isn't it? Just free life without any cares. So that's not possible in the material world. But most of this knowledge in the Vedas is concerning the material world, how to deal with the material energy, how to adjust yourself in the material world where the best way you can do it, the best way you can live in the material world. This is what the Veda is given. To the practice of varnashram, etc. This is the best you can do. But still it's not enough. And the varnashram also leads eventually to renunciation. Vanaprastha, sannyas. And so it's but this is mostly emphasized in the Vedas, the Dhamma, Artha, Kama. This is a great emphasis. So it's not actually going to satisfy one. So therefore, the last portion is for moksha. You give up. You give up your pursuit. You've gone through the different stages. You got what you wanted. You got your family, society, friendship, love. Still, it's not enough. Still, there's something else. Even you're successful. Temporarily, you're happy. If you're better off than other people around you, then that's the mark of success. That's the feeling of success. But as soon as people come that are better off than you, better situated than you, then you don't feel good anymore. So this is a standard of happiness or success in the material world. How many people are worse off than me? That's actually a standard of doing well. Right? So if I'm doing better than everyone, then I'm feeling fine. You know. But if I go to another location where everyone's more evolved than me, doing better than me, then I'm on the bottom. Then I don't feel so good. So this is a relative world here. So that's what the Vedas are about, how to do the best you can in the material world. You can get the best type of enjoyment and the best, easiest living, the best lifestyle. That's what it is. But of course it's not enough. And that's the experience. We thought we'd be happy by making all these plans, by gathering around us, a family, friendship, and society, etc. But still, there's something missing. And then we're looking forward to the death, that we don't know what's coming. So when that starts to kick in, naturally about 50, at least over 40, it starts to come. That was my experience. things aren't so, things aren't, life is not so exciting anymore. Leave your carbon imprint, keep a footprint in the world or whatever you want. It loses its glamour. You're getting old, then all the young people are moving ahead, they're getting ahead of you, you can't keep up, they're young and energetic and enthusiastic, you can't do it, and then you have to, okay, it's not, I can't keep up in this race. So then you get a little disappointed with your aspirations, material aspirations. So this is the natural psychology. That's Krishna's program, that you're going to be like this, because then you can go towards the renunciation or get away from something else. This is not actually doing the job. I thought it was working for a while, but now actually it doesn't work. So then in the old age, you just you realize you haven't got long left, and you haven't got this strong senses and stuff to enjoy. Then you really start to question, well, what is life all about? I thought it was about, being successful and happy. That's what everyone taught us. But I got quite successful, and I thought I was enjoying it, but now it's not the same. I got the same wealth, but I haven't got the same enthusiasm to enjoy it. Or the ability, don't have the ability now with that. So then that's your time for Vanapras 50. You break away from that. It's difficult, because that's your shelter, right? Your family, society, that's your shelter and your happiness, source of shelter and happiness. These are the two main needs. These are what is the inspiration and what is promoting all our activities. Desire to achieve that shelter and happiness. But it's not working. It's starting to fray at the edges. It's starting to fall apart. It's not what I thought it was. It seemed to work in the beginning when I was young. Everyone was young, but now it doesn't. It does not seem to work. I can't hold it, maintain. So that's when, okay, now this time it's for Vanapras. This is a rule. Then you have to get out of it. So that's the difficult part. Especially the Vanapras, later on, in the beginning, it's got to be done gradually. You go to you may live outside the village, and your family, they can bring you food, maintain you. You can live in a cottage outside of the family. Once the elder children can take care of the household themselves. That's like the beginning stage. Or then you go away on pilgrimage with the wife till you and stay away for longer periods till the kids get used to doing things themselves. They're adult, should be 20, 25 by that time, and they get used to handling the house. And then the husband goes away for longer and longer periods. So he and his wife get used to the separation. And then they can finally, at different stages, how far one will go. But that's the ultimate thing, because it's difficult to get out of, because it's a source of, it's the only shelter and only pleasure we knew. That source of pleasure, area of pleasure, that was our society. So now we're going to go away from that, and so where am I going to get shelter? Where am I going to get pleasure? Right? living in a cottage or under a tree, and eating whatever you can get. Where's my happiness? No people to care for me. Therefore, then one has to the consciousness of the Lord, what is the real purpose of this, is to make one more serious about, you more or less have to take shelter of the Lord. Because if we're not doing it so voluntary, then more or less you have to take shelter of the Lord. When you have no other shelter, when you have no other support. So that is quite difficult to do. How many people take vanaprastha in these times in Kali Yuga? Who's doing it? Even amongst the devotees of the Lord. Of course, the devotees, it's not so essential because everyone is. But otherwise, who is actually doing it? It's difficult. So the Dharma, Artha, Kama, we like from the Vedas, but the other section, nobody. The moksha, the nivritti marg, nobody's very much interested in that. So Narada said, your despondency is you spent all your time on this, and the people are very happy. You give them a license for sense gratification. Oh, this is religious life. Huh? You perform dharma, you get, by performance of that dharma, you get artha, you get opulence, you get facility. With that facility, you can enjoy karma. Great, we like you, Vasa. We like you. We like this system. So it's not the liberation is not emphasized, but the people have taken this kind of license for sense gratification as a religious life. But it is a religious life, but there's something more. There's something more than that. But it generally takes to the last part of your life. Then you realize, it's not the same. So what? I got family, I got friends, I got facilities. So what? It's still not. It's not going to. I'm gradually going away. The senses are becoming disinterested, and I'm going to get old. I'm going to die, and then what? A fear comes. The unknown. What will happen in the future? The fearful situation. So then you'll be more interested in what comes next. So then you go to the Jnana Ganda section, the nivritti. What is next? What happens at the end? Then you become interested in spiritual life. So it's a natural thing that how the world is going on when one gets to the human stage of life, civilized human stage of life. So he told Vyasa, you're a really qualified person, but this is a problem. You spent all your time on emphasizing Dhamma, Artha, Kama, Moksha, and you haven't described or talked about the name, fame, quality, pastime, etc. of Krishna, which is actually real life. What happens? What's going on in the spiritual world? Krishna is there, anywhere in the spiritual world, or any spiritual planet. The Lord is there, and everyone else is there. And what do? They're talking about the Lord, they're worshipping the Lord, they're glorifying the Lord, they're serving the Lord. Different degrees of intimacy on different planets. But that's all that's going on there. Right? They have their society of friendship and love, but it's all based around Krishna. Because Krishna is all attractive, so he's more attractive than your wife, your husband, your children, your situation. That feeling of connection with Krishna is much greater than everything else, because this is the natural thing. This is what you're supposed to be doing. This is why we were created. This is the essence of our being. So when you get that, you realize, oh, this is a real thing. This is better than anything else. So then you're not so much interested in sense gratification. Although the spiritual world is full of sense gratification. ultimate sense gratification. Unbelievable. But people they don't get rewarded by it because they got something better. Of course, their senses are spiritual also, but in compared with here, they got if you got something better, then if you got the best thing, then everything else is secondary. So then Krishna becomes the center. Then that's perfection when in that situation. So Narada said, you haven't described enough about the actual perfection, the actual essence of life. That is the essence of life. You talk about that, you hear about that, you think about that. That's perfection. That's the greatest thinking, that's the greatest talking, that's the greatest hearing, to talk about that subject. Because now you're in contact with the ultimate reality. So this is for everyone. Although these are very special characters here, like Narada, but Narada was an ordinary person, according to the previous chapter. He was an ordinary person. He wasn't born in a high family. His mother was a maidservant. So he didn't have a high parentage. He didn't have nothing. He didn't have nothing. He was helping those pure devotees, assisting them, and he took prasadam one time with their permission. One time he said, they very get the Mahaprasadam from the pure devotees. Tina Mahabhav. What was it? Bhakta Paraduli, Bhakta Parajal, Bhakta Avesh, Teen Mahabhav. The dust of the prasadam and the water, which has washed their feet. These three things are very powerful for getting love of God. So he got their food remnants, prasad. Probably got the foot dust also, because I guess he was sweeping up. He must have blown up on his head also. And he was a good boy, according to him. He wasn't frivolous, because he had no friends anyway. I guess he had to work. Not much opportunity in life. Now you can make a case out of him, poor, down and trodden, give them more opportunities. Sentimental, but it worked out well in his case. So, and he was listening to them, and by their association, by that prasad, and by the Krishna Katha, he became purified. He was actually relishing what they were saying, the topics. And at the last minute, just before they left, it said, maybe the same day, they gave him personal instructions. The most confident, they revealed to him most confidential things. Prabhupada called that initiation. So that he mentions initiation, but it means what is the most confidential knowledge? One's loving relationship with Krishna. In other words, bhakti. So they instructed him in bhakti in a very, very short time. But he was already purified by that. And so then when they left, then he left. Then his mother died shortly after that, snake bite. So then he took off alone. Then he this is what Vyasadeva will ask. He was interested in what's your life story. What happened after that? After those Bhaktiveddantas left. So he'll tell him. Then his mother left. Then he just took off, and he was just wandered around. And he was meditating as they taught him on Krishna, and he got Krishna darshan. So he got blessed with love of Krishna. And then in the next millennium, he was born as Narada Muni. I haven't been in between, I don't know. That is how. So he was an ordinary person. So it's encouraging for us to know he's just an ordinary person. He wasn't from a higher parentage. Even Vyasadeva, his mother wasn't elevated, according to the story, a fisherwoman, fisherwoman's daughter, and his birth wasn't very a celebrated one. It was a really quick Gandharva garland and Haribol. Of course, his father was a sage, but it was almost illicit. Is that they got a garland and put it on and saved it from being an illicit birth. So his, of course, his father was elevated sage, but his mother wasn't also, and he became the revealer of the Vedas. But in any case, the message for us, as Prabhupada said, one should be inquisitive. That because Vyasadeva, he was anxious to hear, because he wanted to follow in Narada's footsteps. So, and this desire to inquire from the spiritual master is an essential factor into the progressive path, technically known as Dhamma Pracha. Anyone knows what that means? Dhamma, we say eternal principles, or the true principles, true Dharma, Samtatvigo. Pracha means? Anyone know? Huh? Inquiry. Okay. Yeah. Pracha means speaking, and Pracha means. Yeah. So that's a progressive path inquiry. One should be actually interested, actually enthusiastic to. You really want to know. That means enthusiasm. That means one is favored. One is fortunate, and then you become advanced quickly. If there's enthusiasm there, if you're actually desirous to understand spiritual life, that's a very great qualification. He's a pure devotee anyway, so he has this here. So Prabhupada said it's very important for us to inquire from the spiritual master. And Prabhupada stressed that also. I was in the Lotus building, in his room, he used to give darshan every night practically. So he was up there, all the big devotees were there. I was in the corner, and so Prabhupada came in the room one day. It was a very grave demeanor, and it was very quiet. So he sat down on his seat, and he was looking at everyone. It was very, very quiet atmosphere. So Prabhupada said, "Are there any questions? Are there any questions?" It got really quiet, more quiet. Why there are no questions? Got even more intense. You always cut it. It is the duty of the disciple to question the spiritual master. Why there are no questions? If someone quickly came out with a question, it was the wrong question. Fully, Prabhupada said that. You ask in Bhagavatam, he says, "Is that true?" That is not the question to ask the spiritual master. And here Dayananda Maharaj asked a pertinent question. Then, okay. So it was searching the duty of the student to question the spiritual master. But as a matter of duty, but it should be actually done from you want to know, you really want to know all these things. Then there's a proper exchange. If you're just asking for to get his attention or for show how smart you are, something like that, it's not there. But if you really want to know, you ask it questions. And that is the way, Tatvidi Prani Patena. You approach it with service and a humble attitude. These are the conditions for proper spiritual flow exchange. We're taught this. We know these things, and we try to follow them as far as possible. So there's some great life stories here from Srimad Bhagavatam to give us the examples. It's not something. I mean, it is the greatest examples. They're great people, but the storyline is that they come from ordinary backgrounds, even not so elevated background. Still, they can take the most elevated, practically one of the most elevated positions in the that you can get from a human being. Radha Muni, extra special mercy there. So there's hope for us. Be quiet, with submission, with enthusiastic. We want to know these things, and it will be revealed if one is actually sincere, because the Lord is in the heart. So He will give the proper information that you need to advance in spiritual life, somehow or another, through someone or something. That is the way of spiritual, the connection there. Jai Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Mayapur Bhaktivinoda ki jai, Narada Muni ki jai, Vyasadeva ki jai, Tagore Premanandi, Hari Hari. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Prabhupada ki jai.